Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and welcome to an extra special edition of Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tony Robinson. And today, we have a two-time member of Accrington Stanley joining us. We have Paul Smyth, who you may remember from back in the 2018-2019 season, was an instrumental part of helping Stanley stay up in League One. This year, he has returned to hopefully lead the Reds to a promotion to the championship. Today, we are very excited to have him on the show with us. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Thanks for having me. I've heard a lot of good things about this show.
Well, you're talking to the right people. There must be a few lot of people in that queue then, Paul, if they're saying good things about our show. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk about get into the backflip theme and how that came about. But I want to ask you, how are you feeling physically after last night's match?
Frustrated, because obviously the result didn't go our way. It could have if there hadn't been a red card. But listen, football happens. Things like that happen in football, and Seamus had to take one for the team to try and win the ball, and unfortunately didn't. And the referee had to say either to give me a yellow card or red, and the referee chose red. And after that, we're just having to fight for our lives and survive and try and catch them on the counter. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. But we can take a lot of positives from it. I thought we were absolutely brilliant. The performance we put in with 10 men was fantastic. Just keep it at 2-1, and we could have even scored a couple of times. So we can just take the positives on the Saturday and see how it pans out.
Yeah. You were limping at the end, and you went off. You were subbed off. Are you okay yourself?
Yeah. My body just kind of shut down a little bit, having to run so much. But again, things like it happen. I started cramping the last five minutes, and I haven't had a cramp in a long time. I'd say probably the second time I've ever had cramp, and it's just not a nice feeling. Like, you just can't move, and you can't give the boys 100% of yourself because you don't feel it and you can't run it. So the gaffer obviously substituted me, which was probably the right thing to do.
I saw you at towards the end of the second half, and you were sort of limping over to take the throw in, and it crossed my mind. I thought, how is that cramp going to affect him making the long throw? Because I mean, you're used. Was it a struggle?
No. I mean, I use my arms for the throw, and my legs are just to build myself up. But I can hop on one leg and through it. I mean, I made it into the 6-yard box every time. So small man like me can throw balls far. I'll tell you that.
So before we talk more about this season, I do want to talk a lot about your last stint with Stanley, because it's something where, my personal story is I started following Stanley back in 2018, and it was November of 2018 when I watched the first games on iFollow. And then it was by about January of 2019 is when by that time I was starting to watch every single week. And that was really about the time that you joined the team, and you quickly became a favorite player of mine. But down the stretch, it was really tooth and nail, where there were some weeks where it was like, if we don't get 3 points, we don't know if we're staying up in League One again this year. But I think the pivotal match was against Doncaster. It was week 44. You ended up having a goal and an assist in what was a 2-1 Stanley win. And, with those 3 points, I don't know if we're talking about Accrington Stanley in League One right now even. So tell us a little bit about that game, because that was just an instrumental game in Stanley history.
Yeah, I mean, in the T, I still remember to this day that season was bizarre because the points tally from I think it was 24th to 16th, the point difference was 6 points between each team. So you can tell obviously how tight it was, and that the game against Doncaster was massive because I think it ended up being it was one of the last 5-6 games of the season, and we had obviously to win it to keep our hopes alive to survive in that League One. And it's just think all the boys wanted it. We needed it, and we knew what the consequences were if we didn't. And obviously I did, of course. So I just wanted to, like I said, give 100%, and thankfully at the end of the game, it paid off. And we won 2-1, got the 3 points, and started moving up the table that way.
Yeah, it just seemed like the team started off strong that season. I think I recall at one point, I think it was 21 weeks in, the team was, I think, 7-7-7, and that was kind of like the high water mark for the year. And they really kind of started struggling in late December and January. When you came in, it really you got some other critical goals. I know another goal you had. Your actual first goal for Stanley was against Sunderland. That was a 2-2 draw, and so that was another big point that you helped the team earn there. Tell us a bit about that first goal you got against Sunderland.
That was one of my favourite games, to be fair. As a kid growing up watching Sunderland, the Stadium of Light, I never ever thought I would play there, and I thought, you know what, why not enjoy it, because it might come around again. And it was one of the biggest games for Accrington, in the sense that they were playing a really, really big team. And I embraced it because it was on Sky as well, so everyone was watching around the world. And I thought, you know what, why not just give it 100% and try and do your best? And I ended up getting an assist, and Billy Key scored the penalty, and I scored the header to make it 2-0. But you've seen the quality Sunderland had in their team to obviously come back and get the 2 goals late on. But if we had held out for the 3 points, it would have been a brilliant victory for us.
Well, I think that match, I think at the time too, from a Stanley supporter's point of view, it was one of the first times that I think it might have been the first match at the Stadium of Light for Stanley, which is, you know, Accrington Stanley playing against Sunderland that have come down from the Premier League, and to get that 2-0 lead, and I think the fans weren't disappointed with the 2-2 draw, but I think from a player's point of view, you probably thought you could have won that match.
Yeah, of course. When you go 2-0 up against a team like that, you go into defensive mode. You think, well, to be fair, you don't go into defensive mode. You just go into the shock because of how big Sunderland are and how little Accrington are compared to Sunderland. We thought that we didn't expect to get a 2-0 2-0 lead in the first 40 minutes. So it was a shock to us as well. And we just try to obviously defend as well as we can. But the quality they have and the money they were bringing in at that time and the players they had in the time we played them, it was just some quality, and it's shown. They fought back and got a 2-2 draw, but it was just one of those games where we got experience from, because, like I said, we took the 2-0 lead and we conceded 2 late on goals, and it's one of those things where you just got to see the game out. Is what Jimmy Bell and John Coleman always talk about. Once you go in the lead, you just got to see the game out and be professional about it. And it was obviously, with the quality they had that day, it was quite difficult.
I think that was one of the matches that sort of announced to the rest of the football world, really, that Accrington Stanley were not a joke and were a team to be taken seriously.
Especially this season as well. I mean, we're showing teams that we've got a good team going, and we're a strong team. We're hard to beat, and we're all fighting for each other, and we can score goals. We can do a lot of things. I think our back four is like all over the height of 6 foot.
Yeah.
So it goes to show that we've a jam back four, and then we've a strong midfield and a strong forward line. So all we need to do is just keep focusing. We've been playing brilliant in every single game we've played this season, and the luck hasn't went our way in favour of the sense of like sloppy goals or red cards or just decisions that some people make. But surely the luck will turn, and if we keep performing like that, we will pick up wins.
One thing I wanted to ask you about is you mentioned John Coleman and Jimmy Bell a few minutes ago, and everywhere that you've played at, whether it be with QPR, Wickham, Charlton, you've found the back of the net, you've scored some assists, but just looking at your numbers, especially your numbers in terms of goals per 90 minutes, it's been better in your time at Accrington than it's been anywhere else. Do you think that your style of play specifically fits John Coleman's system, and that's why we're seeing those increases in your numbers when you play for them?
Yeah, I think I'm playing in a position I'm enjoying. I'm able to. He literally just gives me a free roll and just tells me to go and enjoy myself, and that's all I wanted. I know the pressure's on me in general. Footballers know that there's always pressure on them, but they don't need added pressure to that by people putting more pressure on them. They know the pressure they have going out and on 90 minutes and having to perform. And he gives me the freedom to just enjoy it. And I think that's what I've been doing this season. And I've just been playing with a smile on my face. I just feel like I'm playing in a park with my mates. Like, that's how relaxed and enjoyable it is. And that's what matters, enjoying football and playing and that's because you're mentally, you've got to be strong, because if you're out of the team and you're injured or you're not in the starting 11, like, it's tough, especially when you're living by yourself and you have to look after yourself and things like that. So just playing again, like I said, playing the 80 minutes is just what I wanted, and that's why I came here.
So when I saw that Accrington was bringing you back this year, the most excited person in the whole world was me. So were you the second most excited person in the whole world when you heard you were coming back?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a great club and they've been doing great things this season, and I just wanted to add to the quality of what they had already. And I thought it was a no-brainer for me to come here to get game time and play minutes, and that's what I need for the experience of what QPR are expecting. So all I can do is still keep enjoying it and hopefully play throughout the rest of the season.
Well, I think the position that you mentioned, you got the freedom, and I think we see that on the pitch, because when they're saying the formation and they're saying you slotting in behind the two strikers, because we see you cropping up on the left wing, the right wing, down the middle. And I mean, you've got two really good individuals in front of you that I suppose is it taking a little bit of time just to sort of get used to their movements, their breaks between lanes and things like that, or is it clicking well for you?
It's quick. It's clicked quite quick, in the sense that I've known Dion Charles from Northern Ireland 21s. I've played with him at the under 21s. With Kobe, obviously he's tall, physical, and strong, and he likes to play football, and he's a hold-up player. So it is quick, as quick as I thought it would have. But I'm still getting there, and I know if I'm ready that if I keep getting the game time, I'll understand them a lot more and understand how they play and what way they prefer me playing off them or playing in front of them. Like, it's just something I've got to learn as well as them.
Well, we've also seen you. I mean, you talk about covering the pitch. We've seen you back defending too, and getting your head on the ball in your own box, which, as you mentioned, that's got to be a challenge with all those tall guys around you.
Yeah, literally, especially being too small, and people do look at me as if I'm weak, but I can jump and I don't mind putting the graft in, because I mean I've played football since I was a kid, and where I came from, you just got to graft. It's quite difficult to try and get across water from Northern Ireland, and you tend to get noticed by working really hard. So it's a no-brainer for me to just graft and then get back and help the boys out, because it makes a lot of other people's jobs easier as well when I'm doing extra. So it's something I'm not selfish to do.
Well, you and your size, you must, and we saw it yesterday too, where you get a couple of arms or elbows, from defenders. And the one I think was in the first half when you went down, and I thought myself it was a yellow card, and I thought it was one of the other mistakes that the ref missed on that one. What was your take on that?
I mean, I was speaking to the referee throughout the whole game, to be honest with you. He's actually a really good referee, and he was being really honest with me, and I was just telling him how I felt in the game, and I was telling him that there was a time where I've been elbowed, I've been kicked, I've been punched, and he's understood it. He apologized to me during the game, and I'm like, there's no point apologizing if it's getting it right, because that decision could have actually helped us in that game as well. So it's kind of frustrating, but in a sense, I'm used to where I came from. I was being left, right, and centre, booted everywhere. So I'm used to being the physical side of the game, and I enjoy it. I give it back myself.
One thing that we had noted earlier in the season is that Accrington had lost, I think it was 5 of the top 7 guys in crosses from last season. Of course, you played with Clicker back in 2018-19, and he was the guy that kind of led the way with that. And like you mentioned, with the 2 forwards up front with, Bishop and Charles, Accrington is really a team that relies on the crosses for production. And I'm seeing here, you had 5 crosses here against Ipswich. You had a couple 8 cross games. So, I mean, you're really getting the ball into the box and giving some opportunities to guys. Is that what John Coleman wanted you to focus on when he came in?
No, John Coleman just obviously knows the quality that I have, and he just wanted, like I said earlier on, he just wanted me to go and enjoy it, and that's something I enjoy doing, getting wide and getting 1v1 and taking the ball past the fullback and crossing it, because strikers are there to score goals at the end of the day, and I'm there to assist and chip in with a goal here and there, and that's what I'm enjoying doing. And I tend to just out wide, because playing as a 10, that's where the space is. You can overload either side. And when I go out to the right-hand side, I get a chance to go 1v1 and cross the ball to Kobe and Dion, and that's what I've been doing.
We mentioned earlier on, Paul, and it did come in early in the match too, about the red card, and obviously there's been some discussion about it being, he was going for the ball, and maybe it may have been a penalty, but should have been a yellow instead of a red. Is the club looking into that? Are they going to appeal it, or what? Do you know anything about that?
So I didn't really get a good view of Seamus making the tackle. Obviously, I seen the red card, which I wasn't happy with, because it gives you a disadvantage straight away. But I was speaking to the referee himself, and he says to me, "What did you think?" Like, the referee's being, like I said, the whole game he was speaking to me and being honest with me, and he was saying to me, "What do you think? Like, do you think it was a red card?" And he says the reason why I give it is because he said that the ball was too far in front of Seamus, that he couldn't actually tackle him to win the ball, so it was kind of like tripping him up to stop him from scoring, which obviously is an automatic straight red card. But if the ball was closer to the striker and Seamus was there, he had like an 87% chance of winning the ball. So the referee was saying to me that that's why he's seen it, and I spoke to him and I said, personally, I think, like, if you're in a better position and you see it properly, then the decision might have been different. It just all depends on, 1, your choice. 2, does the linesman actually help you in that situation? And 3, it's a red card or a yellow card, and you chose red. So there's obviously no going back from that. But I would like to think that the club would question it and try and get it rescinded.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about is, one thing from a fan's perspective that it's hard to imagine watching, from the television or from the stands, whatever it may be, is just how much of an effect does it have to lose that guy and go down to 10 men or 9 men in the outfield? Like, you think, okay, well, it's 10% of your players, but is it bigger than that?
Because it gives them as a free man in a position that wherever the ball is. So it's kind of having to double up and just try and be defensive, try and make them break the lines. And if they don't break the lines, make them go wide and just defend your crosses. It is difficult because they obviously do their double running because they've got a man less and they've got a man free. So it does make it difficult at times. But sometimes you see in games that people with 10 men actually win games from being behind in that. But it's just one of those things. Once it happens, there's no turning back. You just kind of go to the future and keep continuing on, and hopefully things like that don't happen to us the rest of the season, because there's been a lot of red cards for us this season, and red cards shouldn't be red cards. And it's just been kind of difficult for us. So hopefully the rest of the games, the rest of the season is quite easier.
Actually, you look at the first half, and there's a couple of turning points. Obviously, the red card is very is detrimental to to a team, especially losing somebody of Seamus's quality. That's sort of, he cleans up back there and very rarely makes mistakes as Seamus.
Yeah.
Then after the penalty save, and why Nathan Baxter, there wasn't a foul on the collision between him and the other player from Ipswich. I don't know, but then he tried to go on, but he obviously he had to leave. So I mean, there's two key points in that first half that really seemed to go against you guys, but you would never know in the second half because of the way you guys took the match to Ipswich.
That's funny you say that. That's what John Coleman says in the changing room. He says it wouldn't even think that you had 10 men on the pitch. He says you were brilliant, your efforts. You couldn't fault your efforts. Like, once you go down to 10 men, you know you have to double the graft, you work harder, you have to do extra. Like, everyone knows that. And I think we're the most honest team. I think we're the most hardworking team in that division, in that league. So I think we all know what we have to do and the jobs we have to do once things like that happen. But it was just unfortunate. Like I said, it was just frustrating because we were leading and then a stupid mistake that the referee makes and just kills the game.
I mean, and Nathan obviously went off with his, I think it's his shoulder, but I'm not 100%. But what do you know how his status is now, Paul?
No, at the minute we don't know because we had our day off. So this is the day off we have today just to recover and relax. So I haven't been in to see how he's doing and that. But I'm pretty sure that he would go for a scan and find out exactly if there's something wrong. If not, then hopefully he's back for Saturday.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got a really good top-notch keeper to come in with Toby Savin. I mean, and a position that's really hard to come in as a sub. It's got to be the goalkeeper. It's got to be the worst one to come on as a sub because you're immediately put under pressure. But I mean, he made some good saves. It's just it's unfortunate that the goal went in just before halftime because I thought he was playing well.
Yeah, he was. He was pulling off some good saves. He pulled off a good save one-on-one with Norwood down to his right-hand side. Pulled off a very good save. And yeah, it's just one of those things. It's miscommunication between him and the striker, and the ball goes in. It drops to their centre half, and he scores. But any other day, keeper comes and eats that up and catches it, and then we break on the counter. But it's just, like I said, it's one of those days, and it's frustrating, and it's tough for him to come in. Obviously, expecting Nathan Baxter to play the whole game. I'm not thinking that there's obviously going to be an injury, but you got to expect the unexpected and be ready. And
like Tony said, you guys have two brilliant goalkeepers. I mean, that's really the great thing is that if somebody does get a knock and, hopefully it's only, something that'll be a short-term thing and we'll see Nathan back soon. But it's great to have two top-notch keepers. But Tony will know what I'm talking about. Paul, I'm not sure if you watched much ice hockey, but what we've talked about with Nathan is that I said he's more of a Patrick Waugh style goalkeeper, where Toby Savin is more of a Dominic Hasek style goalkeeper. Tony will get those hockey references, but basically what that means is Nathan he likes to play high, he likes to use his feet, he likes to play the ball forward. Where Toby, he seems to be a guy that likes to sit a little deeper, play back a little bit, get in position to make the save. And I think both guys are very good at what they do, but they do it very differently. How does that change up the tactics for you guys?
Yeah, of course you got to be careful with the line that you play. I think that's what Toby's trying to get into his game, is to stay higher. If we're on the attack, then he comes off his line and comes up higher with the back line. So if anything does come over the top, he can eat it up and clear it up and put it back into the danger area. But it's one of those things. He's still young. He's still a young keeper. He's still got the experience ahead of him to get the experience. And obviously because Nathan's doing so well, it's difficult for him to get game time, to get the experience. But I'm sure he'll get his time and he will experience and he'll understand the game more and he'll know to to be in the right area at the right time and where to be positionally. So it's just, like I said, he's young and he's still got to get the experience into his game.
Well, as Phil said, is that you've got really two tremendous keepers, and Nathan the best to get back as soon as possible. But there's no letdown if you start a match on Saturday with Toby in nets.
No, not a chance. Toby's a good keeper, like you said. Toby's a very, very good keeper as well. Yeah, and distribution's very, very good, and he also does like to play with his feet too. He enjoys playing football too. So it is good to have, like you said yourself, two very good goalkeepers, one to replace the other if needed.
Well, we've talked a lot of football here so far, but we do have a segment on the show where we just do some kind of fun questions. Hey, and it's actually become our most popular segment. And this was Tony's invention here. It kind of started off with some Northern England versus Southern England questions. And well, Tony, I'll just pass the mic to you for the now world famous rapid fire.
Well, thank you, Phil. But I think you're again building it up too much to what it is. But we just have some fun, and it started with a couple of people sending in questions, and we just sort of made it a little bit of fun stuff. So we'll start right off with the standard one that we have. Do you like mushy peas or garden peas?
Garden peas. Oh, garden peas.
On your bacon sandwich, red or brown sauce?
See, it just depends how I feel. I'm not one against one of the other. I would have both, but I wouldn't have them on the same sandwich. But I would have red or I would have brown. So have to say both. I can't choose one.
Yes, and you know what? I totally agree, Paul, because it depends what mood you're in. And another thing that I like on the bacon sandwiches is totally off. Is instead of brown sauce, sometimes I'll put Branston pickle on. You've probably seen that up north. Have you, Branston pickle?
Do you know what? I'm not a big fan of Branston pickle.
Okay.
My missus,
I would no pickles for me.
Yeah.
I'd throw a nice hamburger patty on my bacon sandwich.
Yeah. If you were able to have a full English, would you have it with black pudding or not?
No. Oh no, without for sure.
You know, Phil, it's either a hard yes or a hard no on the black pudding.
I'm a hard no myself. I've seen pictures of it. I don't even want to be in the same room with the stuff.
Can you tell us the name of your favorite band?
Oh, band. See, I don't listen to band music. I'm more of an upbeat, house music. I listen to house music, but my favorite band would probably be The Script. I'm not too sure if you've heard of The Script.
I bet Phil has, but I haven't. Have you, Phil?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to probably date myself here. The only thing I know of house music is I know that Paul Oakenfold used to be big when I was in high school. I don't know if people still listen to him.
I've heard of him.
The Script would be my band. They're from Ireland, so they're like an Ireland-based band.
The one Irish band that I do know, and I don't know if they're from the north or from Ireland, was the Pogues.
Well, what about I'm not sure if they're northern or southern Ireland either, but what about those guys? I would walk 500 miles.
They're from you got it.
Where are they? Okay.
Oh, boys, we easily get off track here. We talked about Sunderland. Did you watch the series Till Sunderland Till I Die?
I did indeed, and I was quite disappointed I wasn't on it. The second one, I watched it. I was on the first one. I was quite disappointed I wasn't on the second one.
Well, when you look at that and you compare what Sunderland Till You Die and the facilities and compare it to Accrington, they're worlds apart. Yet on the pitch, you would never know that. Have you got a stadium that you would like to play in that you haven't yet?
Old Trafford.
Okay.
I'm a big United fan.
Well, we won't hold that against you.
My favorite team.
Manchester United, yeah. I've grown up. My granddad was a massive Manchester United fan, and I've obviously just took it on with yourself, and I've supported United and I've followed them since I was a kid. So, Old Trafford would be one of the grounds I'd love to play at.
Yeah, it'd be something to play on the same pitch as George Best, where he played with and had some great seasons with. One of the best player I ever saw live was George Best. And anyway, the next one I wanted.
I'm from the U.S. and in the 90s, United was like the only team anybody liked here in the U.S. So one day I just said, well, who else is there besides United? And eventually I got to Accrington, which probably about as far as you get.
What's your favorite takeaway, Paul?
Ooh, that's a very good question, actually. Probably Chinese.
Okay, yeah, that's mine.
I love a Chinese, although yes. I have to get the Chinese back in Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland Chineses are different to England's Chinese.
Is that okay? And I like Canadian. Every Chinese food is different in each country because Canadian Chinese is different than the UK Chinese. One other thing, do you have a hobby that outside of football that's something that you have an interest in that you'd like to share?
Playing far too much Call of Duty Warzone.
Call of Duty,
right, yeah, okay.
I'm more of a Halo guy myself. So are you Xbox or PlayStation?
I'm PlayStation. I'm a big fan of PlayStation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do Halo. So
can you get that on Nintendo? Or am I dating myself?
Well, they still have Nintendo, but I don't think they have Call of Duty on Nintendo. Well, we'll play some Mario Kart there.
I
still got my Atari set anyway.
But yeah, Call of Duty Warzone would be my biggest problem because I'm never off it.
So what's your rank on Call of Duty? Online? Do you play online?
So the ranks are all different now. See, this is the thing. The ranks are all different because there's two different types of game modes. There's multiplayer and then there's Warzone. I would be third prestige on Warzone.
Nice.
And it's quite good.
So the Warzone is where it's kind of like the big teams where there's like 25 people on each team, and the multiplayer is more like the 4-on-4, try to everybody against everybody kind of thing, right?
Yeah, so it's like survival of the fittest. There's 150 people in a lobby, and you can choose either solo, duos, trios, or quads.
Well,
Tony, we're talking Greek to Tony at this point, I think.
Yeah, you lost me. As I said, last thing I played was Atari, so that tells you how much I'm good at that.
He still has the highest score on Pong at Tim Hortons.
Yeah, I don't think they have that at Tim Hortons anymore. We've covered a lot about this season and your previous stint, but I wanted to ask, and we mentioned it at the beginning, how did the backflip come about, and when did you first introduce that?
I was a little kid, and in school we would always have physical education, and you would always have your practical side of it, so you can actually go to the gym or go play football or go do something. And mine was always trampolining. As a kid, I always loved trampolining, so we would always get the trampoline out in school, and I would always just try to do different things. And I was doing the backflip constantly, and then I was able to master it. Like, I was really, really good at the backflip, so I thought, why not actually try it on the grass? So I was trying it on the grass, and obviously I was doing it okay, but I was using more of my hands to help me. And then the more I just kept practicing it, the better I got, obviously.
Did you ever try it after when you scored a goal? Have you tried it and you missed it?
No, touch wood, I actually haven't. But when I was a kid, I was about 15, 16, I was showing off with all my friends. And I was like, look, I can do a backflip. So everyone was looking, and I did a backflip. And I didn't commit to it 100%. And I landed right on the top of my head.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, I had to run on. I ran home, started crying. My mum was like, I just landed on my head in a backflip, and she was like, "Well, you shouldn't have done a backflip because it's dangerous." But that didn't stop me from doing it. I was a little daredevil as a kid. I had no fear, and I just enjoyed doing things.
Well, I think when you came back, not only the style of play excites the fans and fits in with the way Accrington play and where you slotted in. I mean, I know fans were excited, but a few of on social media, a few of the comments were, "I can't wait to see the backflip again." So, I mean, it's become it's a part of you now, and I guess you want to call your signature card.
Yeah. And, well, one thing I did want to mention is that Peter Latham, he always sends in some questions for us, and we call that Peter's Corner. And he did actually have that same question about the backflip. And I just want to mention that real quick, and we'll get on to Peter's other questions here in a minute. But yeah, I think like Tony said, that's definitely become a signature of yours.
Yeah, definitely. As a kid, like I said, as a kid, it was just something I always enjoyed doing, and I thought, let's bring it into football. And I scored my first goal for Linfield when I was playing back in Northern Ireland, and I thought, let's try it. And it came off, but it wasn't the greatest looking thing, but it worked. And then, like I said, the more times I practiced it, and the more goals I scored, I was able to do it better and better.
Now, just to get to a couple of other questions that Peter had. Now, one, I think he maybe kind of answered it earlier. He wanted to know if you prefer playing through the middle or out wide. And earlier, I think he said you like playing out wide better, is it?
No, I actually enjoy, like, I've developed this role of enjoying the number 10 because I'm able to have that free roam of doing what I like. And it's not doing what I like is in the sense of being really lazy and not doing much for the team. It's actually being able to be everywhere on the pitch and get on the ball and play football like I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, I think it's like a rover position. I mean, you're all over the pitch, and I think that, like we said, that suits your style of play.
Yeah, definitely. I'm able to be like like everyone says that I'm busy. I'm the busy bee in the team.
Well, you certainly got lots of energy. I know. I'll tell you that. I get tired watching you.
Yeah, I just enjoy, like I said, I just enjoy running and enjoying football with a smile on my face, and that's what I've been doing here. And I'm able to run around and help the team, and I do well.
All right, and then the last question we have for Peter today is, he said, having experienced the promotion season at Wickham last season, can you see any similarities in Stanley this time?
Obviously, with what happened last time in the playoffs for Wickham was the points per game kind of helped us. So it was kind of unpredicting whether they would make the playoffs or not make the playoffs. But I see the quality, and I think everyone else sees the quality that Accrington have with the players that they have, and they have every right to make it to the playoffs. I don't see why anything can stop them. If they just keep their heads down, keep working hard, and keep grafting for games and results, and you never know what can happen in the last 15, 16 games.
Well, a lot, there's when people talk about luck in football, you've got to create your own luck by working hard, and there's no, like you said, I don't think there's any harder working team than Stanley. So, with hard work, the results are going to come. It's a fine margin, but I believe the results are going to start falling your way. So, for me, Paul, it's been a real treat speaking to you, and as we like to tell the players that we deal with and talk to and interview, we wish you continued success and enjoy your time at Stanley.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It was a pleasure being on. Enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.
As Tony always says, and I think this is your signature phrase now, it's continued success, Paul, and it's been an absolute joy having you on the show, and we're looking forward to the rest of the season and hoping to see a big promotion for Stanley. And we always like to finish up with what's our signature ending. We go with an on Stanley on. So on 3, 1, 2, 3, on Stanley on.
Cheers, Paul.
Cheers, Paul.
No worries. Thank you.